What's going on, guys? I'm Mike Shana. This is my daily driven Camaro 2SS. Hey guys, so today what I'm going to be talking about is my 2016 Camaro 2SS that is daily driven. Now, there's not many out there, not as many people that are crazy enough as me per se, that would dare drive their babies out in the snow or salty, terrible weather like this. But the way I look at it is, why buy a car if you're not going to drive it? And with as much fun of a car that this is, it's pretty hard to store it away for 3-4 months at a time without driving it, maybe longer. Now, a little bit about this car. Like I said, it's a 2016 Camaro 2SS, meaning it's got the upgraded interior package, the bigger display, the heads-up display, and this one does have the quad-tip dual-mode exhaust on it, which at idle it makes a little bit of a difference, but at full throttle, to me it all sounds just about the same. Now, from behind, I don't know. I've been the only one that's driven my car so far. It's probably going to stay that way. But overall, it's been a really great car. And as far as, you know, daily driving goes, things have been great. I mean, 26 miles per gallon on the highway, and depending on how nice you are to it, you know, anywhere from 8 to 17 city, which, you know, to me isn't that bad, especially for a car making 455 horsepower. Now, as far as winter driving goes, especially for a Camaro, it doesn't do all that bad. Now, I do have a set of snow tires on it. I've got the Blizzaks on the front and the back, and the car does fairly well, especially when paired with Chevrolet's snow mode. Now, when put in that mode, the traction controls are a little bit more in tune, and the pedal response per se is more limited, meaning that you know, if you push it as hard as you normally would, it's not necessarily going to do as much, making it a lot less touchy, especially when it's icy out. You know, it's really beneficial. And then along with daily driving a car, there's a lot of responsibility and danger that comes along with that. I'm sure as you saw in the beginning of this video, you saw that I had a nice big dent in the side of my door. Unfortunately, that's what you get when you have a daily driver. Now, this wasn't anything that I did. I drove it over to my girlfriend's house, and in the midst of that, someone had come out of the garage with their car, not looking, and backed into it. Now, it's all going to be taken care of, fortunately, but it's just a little bit of a hassle, especially when you have to drive around with a big dent in the side of your car. So, my reasoning for filming this video now is I just got back from a 400 or 500 mile road trip, and as you can see, the car is completely covered with salt and road grime, and just a bunch of nastiness, and the car looks gross. Now, another thing that comes into daily driving these cars, especially when it's even a little bit wet out, is the back end breaking loose. Now, you know, to me, I would have thought that with all the high-tech traction controls and all of the monitoring systems that they have in these cars nowadays, it'd be a little bit better. Or it's just the amount of power this car makes. But if I've noticed that even when I give it a little bit of gas, and this is just on the snow tires, not the summers, that the back end will be sliding out everywhere, and it's very difficult for the car to find traction in wet or cold conditions, per se. Which doesn't mean it's a bad car, it just isn't necessarily the most ideal daily driver. Now, going into buying the car, I knew that, and my reasoning for getting it is, like I said prior to this, I've got an 87 IROC that I restored, and right now the car it's fully restored, it's in pristine condition, and that's something I really can't drive in the winter. And at least with this, if I do end up getting some rust or anything happens to it, it can be easily fixed, and the dealership's got the 6-year rust prevention warranty, which is nice. And plus, I like having the modern day amenities that these new cars come with, such as the heads-up display, which is, it's nice, I like having it, but frankly, I don't use it as much as I thought it would. It's just kind of nice to be able to say you've got one, and nice to look down and not have to look at your dash, I guess. One thing I do love about this car, though, is how comfortable the seats are when you get in. Now, a lot of people that have sat in other high-end cars, such as Cadillacs or BMWs, I'm sure those cars have lumbar supports in them where you can adjust the amount of air in the back of the seat and to tailor it to your liking. Now, this car doesn't have that, but what I found, though, is it fits perfectly. It's got just the amount of lumbar in the back. It feels good. It's comfortable. The side bolsters grip you in your place. Now, I'm a fairly small guy. I'm only 5'8", and I fit fairly well in the car. The seats don't have that much of a movement, so I could see where if you were taller, you'd be limited to this car, because I can't even move the seat all the way back without crushing the back seat or tilting it back. The seat's very limited both angularly and lengthwise. Another thing that I really like about this car is the flat bottom steering wheel. It gives it kind of that race car feel, which frankly to me, after driving a 3rd gen, which was rated by, I forgot the name of the website that I got it from, but the 3rd gen and the 5th and 6th gen Camaros were deemed to have the best handling suspensions of all the years. And I'll tell you what, I can attest to that. Coming from the 3rd gen to this, I mean, the handling is seamless. It's amazing. And they've really outdone themselves on this car, and it feels like you're in a race car. I mean, I do plan on taking this car to the track and seeing what it'll do, but I've got no complaints or no concerns about taking it there. I feel that GM did a great job with it and it should handle accordingly. Now, one thing that I do hate about this car that drives me nuts every time I get into it are how bad the blind spots are. I mean, looking behind me, looking even in front of me, the A-pillars are huge. The rear B and C pillars take up a ton of vision, and it's really difficult to maneuver around, especially when you're trying to get into a tight space or back out of something. Now, another problem I keep having with this car is electronics geared, and for whatever reason, if I start the car in its really cold conditions, 10 degrees, 0 degrees, even under, what I'll notice is that some electronics won't work. So just if I go to my settings and driving modes and try to go to engine sound management, the driving modes just won't show up. It's not like it's grayed out. It's not like it's not letting me hit the button. The button just will not appear. And I don't know if that's a solvable issue or if that's just something in GM's that needs to be fixed, but I've noticed that. I've noticed a few other people complaining about that as well, and I'm not sure if they necessarily even have a fix for it yet, but that's one thing that really irks me. Another problem that I keep having with the car is my driver's front headlight keeps going out, and it's intermittent, so it keeps coming on, and then randomly, for whatever reason, it'll shut off for no reason. It'll have a single headlight on, and I've gone back and forth with the dealership on this a few times, and they haven't done anything about it because you're getting the headlight to come back on, but like I said, it's intermittent, so it'll go on and off, and I've been fighting with them on that, trying to get it sorted out. Another problem that I just noticed is when I go under the performance tab in my car, and look at the transmission fluid temperatures, it's pegged at 100 degrees, which to me doesn't sound right, even if the car's been fully warmed up. After taking it on that road trip of 400 or 500 miles, it was still pegged at 100 degrees. Now, typically what I thought at least is that transmission fluid temp should be around 170, 180, and this is pegged at 100. So my guess is that something's unplugged, something's not reading, but it's just one more thing that I gotta take the car back to the dealership for. Aside from those small petty things though, this car's been great. It handles awesome, it drives awesome, it's very usable in all weather conditions. I've had this car through 8 inches of snow, 12 inches of snow, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's done great, it's pushed through everything, and it really is an outperforming car. It's great for its class, and especially for its price range. Now, the one thing I'm really hesitant about this car with, and that I have troubles with my other cars, is that I'm a big fan of modifying and giving it more power or changing the look or whatever, and my one thing with this brand new car is that I'm afraid of breaking the warranty and then having an issue later down the line. So if there's any other 6th gen Camaro guys out there that have modded their cars, are there any issues that you guys have had? If so, what kind of problems are they? What mods have you done? Because as of right now, I'm just looking to do headers, intake, and tune, and supposedly that'll give me another 50 wheel horsepower, 40 to 50, depending on the tune and a few other factors, depending on whether or not you keep the cats. But anyone else who's done that, have you had any issues with it? And if so, what has the dealer done for you? Have they been understanding, and how's that played out? So oddly enough, just as I was talking about my transmission fluid temperatures not moving, I flipped over to the gauge, and for whatever reason, it works now. So it's still a pretty low reading, only at 110, 110, 115 degrees, but it is working. So I don't know what was happening on the way to my road trip, but for whatever reason it works now. So like I said, that could have been another electronic glitch, because this car sure doesn't seem to have a lot of them. But you know, if it was, I believe it. But yeah, it works now. But as always, thanks for watching, you guys. Please like and subscribe to this video and stay posted for more.